Good morning, families. Welcome back to the American Family Survival Network and channel. I'm your host, Jeffrey Snipes. Today is Friday, September 9th, 2016. This article comes from Zero Hedge, the ultimate 21st century choice, OBOR or war. Authored by Pepe Escobar, originally posted op-ed at SputnikNews.com. The G20 meets in tech hub Hangzhou, China, at an extremely tense geopolitical juncture. China has invested immense political, economic capital to prepare the summit. The debates will revolve around the main theme of seeking solutions towards an innovative, invigorated, interconnected, and inclusive world economy. G20 ministers have already agreed to lay down 9 core principles for global investment. At the summit, China will keep pressing for emerging markets to have a bigger say in the Bretton Woods system. But most of all, China will seek greater G20 backing for the new Silk Roads, or One Belt, One Road, as they are officially known, as well as the new Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, AIIB. So at the heart of the G20, we will have 2 projects which are competing head-on to geopolitically shape the young 21st century. China has proposed OBOR, a pan-Eurasian connectivity spectacular designed to configure a hypermarket at least 10 times the size of the U.S. market within the next 2 decades. The U.S. hyperpower, not the Atlanticist West, because Europe is mired in fear and stagnation, proposes the current neoliberal status quo, the usual divide in rule tactics, and the primacy of fear enshrined in the Pentagon array of threats that must be fought from Russia and China to Iran. The geopolitical rumble in the background high-tech jungle is all about the containment of top G20 members Russia and China. It doesn't take an oracle to divine divine which project is intriguing and in many ways seducing the global south, as well as an array of G20 member nations. That connectivity frenzy, shuttling between the West and Asia, one can glimpse in myriad forms the graphic contrast between paralysis and paranoia, and an immensely ambitious 1.4 trillion project potentially touching 64 nations, no less than 4.4 billion people, and around 40% of the global economy, which will, among other features, create new, innovated, invigorated, interconnected, and inclusive trade horizons, and arguably install a post-geopolitics win-win era. An array of financial mechanisms is already in place. The AIIB, which will fund way beyond the initial commitment of $100 billion. The Silk Road Fund, $40 billion already committed. The BRICS New Development Bank, NDB, initially committing $100 billion. Plus assorted players such as the China Development Bank and the Hong Kong-based China Merchants Holdings International. Chinese state companies and funds are relentlessly buying up ports and tech companies in Western Europe. From Greece to the UK, cargo trains are now plying the route from Zhejiang to Tehran in 14 days through Kazakhstan and Turkmenistan. Soon this will be all part of a trans-Eurasia high-speed all-rail network, including a high-speed Trans-Siberian. The $46 billion China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, otherwise known as CPEC, has the potential to unblock vast swaths of South Asia, with Gwadar, operated by China Overseas Port Holdings, slated to become a key naval hub of the new Silk Roads. Deep-sea ports will be built in Kayakupur in Myanmar, Sonadia Island in Bangladesh, Hambantota in Sri Lanka. Add to them the China Belarus Industrial Park and 33 deals in Kazakhstan covering everything from mining and engineering to oil and gas. Back in February, PwC was already detailing $250 billion in OBOR projects that had been built, recently started, or agreed on and signed. An array of Silk Road projects now crisscross Eurasia, progressively networking east-west and north-south corridors through many an economic zone and expanding connectivity and infrastructure development frenzy with Russia, China, India, Pakistan, Iran, Southeast and Central Asia. Connectivity now more than geography is destiny. It's not by accident that a lot of the action happens in member states or observers of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, SCO. The new Silk Roads are about to be totally intertwined with the reprogramming of the SCO as a security economic cooperation umbrella. In parallel, Russia, with the progressive coordination of the Eurasia Economic Union, EEU, with the new Silk Roads, projects the Russia-China strategic partnership much further than just new Silk Road connectivity to Europe. Follow those cues. Southeast Asia, via the Maritime Silk Road, is a key hub in the new connectivity game in Eurasia, which brings us to the alleged illegality of the 9-dash line. Chinese claim of indisputable sovereignty is recently ruled in The Hague. The U.S. and the Philippines have a mutual defense treaty since 1951, according to which island territories under Manila's jurisdiction must be defended. Washington, under a potential neoliberal Hillary Clinton presidency, and Kurt Campbell, who conceptualized the pivot to Asia as possible Secretary of State, might be tempted to declare the treaty applies to offshore islands, atolls, rocks, and even underwater features such as the Scarborough Shoal. Beijing won't wait to fall into this possible trap. Following a recent meeting in Inner Mongolia, China and ASEAN are set to launch an emergency diplomatic hotline and eventually adopt a code for unplanned encounters at sea, otherwise known for CUES. ASEAN and East Asian powers, meanwhile, keep weighing the merits of the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, RCEP, 16 nations, 29% of global trade, as an alternative to the U.S. corporate-pushed TPP, a sort of NATO on trade that excludes China. China is hyperactive on all fronts. It will boost the use of Singapore know-how to advance new Silk Road projects. Singapore, with a population nearly 75% ethnic Chinese, is China's largest foreign investor and a major overseas hub for yuan trade. More than 20% of Singapore's GDP is linked to China. At the same time, planning for a post-war Syria, Beijing is committed to boost trade and economic cooperation with Damascus, another future OBOR hub. It does not